Indeed, I am your captain here on the Steve Malzberg Show, and joining us right now is our friend Congressman Peter Hoekstra, former chair of the House Intelligence Committee, former congressman from the great state of Michigan. Hello, Congressman.
Hey, hi, Steve. How you doing?
I am fine and dandy, as George Carlin used to like to say, fine and dandy. But I got to tell you, this country is not fine and dandy. And the newest Wall Street Journal, NBC News poll shows when asked, is the country headed in the right or wrong direction?
Not a surprise. You've got a lot of people that are still hurting economically. I think we've got the lowest workforce participation rate probably since World War II. Obamacare is floundering in its rollout, and it's for those few people who are interested in foreign affairs, things across the world don't look all that good either. We look very, very weak. We look like we're a nation that is rudderless. People aren't sure where we're heading. If you don't know where you're going, people start getting nervous.
Absolutely, and let's talk about where we're going on the international front, and with this whole NSA. All these revelations that come out, and the brouhaha over the revelations that were spying on Merkel's cell phone and on foreign leaders throughout Europe, and people's phone calls in France and Spain to the tune of millions. Europe is up in arms. To me, let me ask you. Is this feigned anger? Doesn't everybody spy on everybody like Israel says?
Oh, absolutely. The problem here is there's a lack of leadership. Number one, that the NSA ever put America in the position where a single individual, a single analyst could take as much information as Edward Snowden accessed in a few months is unconscionable. The second thing is this drip is going to continue, we have no leader who's speaking forcefully supporting the NSA and its capabilities. The loneliest man in Washington today, supporting the NSA and its capabilities. The loneliest man in Washington today. He did exactly as Congress asked and instructed him to do. He probably built the most powerful spy network in America and in the world from an electronic surveillance standpoint. And now that this stuff is coming out, there's no one standing with poor Keith. And it is true. I still remember going to France as chairman of the Intelligence Committee. I was told by my staff, now remember when you're in France, your hotel room will be bugged. They will try to surveil you on all your electronic equipment. They will follow you. Friends spy on friends, just to get whatever insights and advantage that they can. The only folks who have a formal agreement that they won't spy on each other are the Five Eyes, the United States, Britain, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. That's the only arrangements we have.
So isn't it more appropriate, or wouldn't it be more appropriate for this administration not to react, not to say, well, we're open to change. Let's try to change this, and let's see what we could do, and let's stop it if it's I think he's looking at this really as a great excuse to stop spying, to put us in a disadvantage, to put us in a hole.
I think you're exactly right. I'm very, very concerned about the arrangements that he will take the opportunity now to negotiate with other countries and saying, well, we won't do this, we won't do that. A forceful statement should have been right out of the box. Hey, there's going to be some uncomfortable things that come out of the Snowden revelations. But we do know that friends spy on friends. It happens all the time. It is one of the unwritten rules of foreign policy. It's done. People just don't talk about it. As I said on an interview with a German radio station, one of the things that's probably really infuriating to the Germans, whether we tapped into Merkel's phone or not, I don't know. It's possible. But the Germans are probably very, very upset that they put their chancellor in the position where she didn't have secure communications methods. That's right. The problem.
Yeah, we're talking to Pete Hoekstra here on the Steve Malzberg Show. That's what I'm afraid of, and you're absolutely right. They knew what Snowden got. Again, if there's any competence there, and I'm not sure that there is, but they had to know everything that Snowden got, or at least what he was capable of having, and they should have been out and taken the lead on it to prevent every revelation, the drip from blowing up to becoming a major story. And the reaction should be, hey, we're doing what we have to do to keep ourselves safe, and friends do spy on friends sometimes, and that's it. Instead, now we're going to have hearings, and it's, to me, it smacks of dismantling the CIA interrogation program. Now we won't spy on certain people, but they'll keep spying on us, all right.
No, that's exactly right. Now the members of Congress are running for cover, saying, "Well, we don't know. We didn't know that we were." Perhaps listening into. I mean,
Dianne Feinstein is on the Intelligence Committee of the Senate.
Right.
You were the chair of the House Intelligence Committee. Could the members of Congress on either of those committees not know?
Well, they could if they are. Here's what happens: you'll get briefings every once. Well, number one, you'll get a briefing and you'll understand what Five Eyes means. It means there's 5 countries that have agreed not to spy on each other. That then. If you're listening to the testimony, it means everything else is fair game. Then every once in a while, you'll be in a briefing, and you may get some very, very, detailed conversations or discussions about the very specific conversations that took place between, heads of state. And you'll say, oh, obviously we're listening into those folks. So you probably don't get a briefing that says, of the other 160 countries out here, we have, active good surveillance on 40 of them, and these are the 40. You just know that we're out there getting everything we can from the people that we think we need to get it from.
Right, and so yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, what?
It's crazy for members of Congress to be claiming ignorance on this, unless they weren't at the briefings and unless they didn't, put 2 and 2 together when they were getting these briefings. And a lot of this stuff was not much more complicated than 2 + 2.
So I'm not going to, I've heard Dick Cheney asked about this, and he defers to to national security, and you haven't given away any secrets either, but any classified secrets either. But so in your position as the former chair of the House Intelligence Committee, none of this comes as any surprise to you, and you would fully expect, or you're probably fully aware that when the President of the United States gets on a phone, he can't just be on his cell phone. He has to expect it's going to be tapped into or traced, or whatever the heck the terminology is, listened into. I mean, they take precautions for the president, don't they, to make sure he's on either a secure line or he's careful about what he says, right?
Oh, absolutely, sure. I mean, they don't put him on any line and just say, hey, here's my cell phone, make the call. When he's talking about issues of national policy and those types of things, anything that may be helpful to a foreign country, he's on a secure line. It's protected, and if someone gets in, they're very, very good. But the expectation there is it's our responsibility to protect his communications, because we know that there are all kinds of folks who would love to tap into his line and find out what's on the mind of the President of the United States. And that includes our friends in Europe who are so outraged by finding out that this might be going on, and they're doing exactly the same thing. Maybe they're just not as good as what the NSA was.
All right, so let me ask you this. Here we have a president who now, Saudi Arabia, for their own reasons, has basically dumped the United States. We don't have a relationship with Egypt anymore because the president insists on befriending and supporting the Christian-killing Muslim Brotherhood, and we did a report on that at the top of the show, where CBS News did it yesterday, and just horrific stuff going on there. Yep. But CBS News did it yesterday, and just horrific stuff going on there. Yep. But here at home, his poll numbers are down to approvals down to 42%, and that doesn't include people being asked from the 28th on, which means they missed this whole, networks actually saying Obama lied about keeping your insurance, and then Obama's cockamamie explanation. So he's isolated abroad. He's isolated at home. We're losing friends by the I don't know what to say, by the minute. Yeah. And so is he really without allies? Abroad and at home, basically, right now? Is he a man who's, I don't want to say on the run, but is he a man who's isolated both here and abroad?
I think that's exactly accurate. He really doesn't have any friends overseas. Obviously, the Europeans are angry. Israel's angry. The folks in Egypt, all across. I mean, he's rewritten America's foreign policy, and not very successfully. It's going to take a real rebuilding effort by the next president to reestablish America's presence, overseas and make us a power and an influencer again for good and effective policy. I mean, I think people, Russia has reestablished. I mean, it's a terrible position. And then here in you're going to see the Democrats start bolting from him in Congress very, very soon. They're facing the 2014 elections, and they're not going to want to be paired with this president or his record. Hillary Clinton has already left because she's getting ready for 2016. She didn't want to stay any longer. He may be friendless, but he's not. He will still be a very, very powerful individual to work he will still be very effective in trying to get done what he wants to get done through his use of executive power.
Yeah, and that hasn't stopped. And I just wish the Congress would take him to task in their own way, censure or whatever. To quote Kathleen Sebelius, whatever. Because when he picks and chooses which parts of which laws to enforce and what not to enforce, and changes unilaterally effective start dates, et cetera, whether it's on the health care law, Defense of Marriage Act, welfare reform, the work provision there, deporting illegals. I just wish there was a way for Congress, if they had any guts, to take him to task for this.
Well, you've got a very divided opposition to the president. They only control one house of Congress, but most importantly, perhaps, is that Republicans right now have never figured a way to confront this president and confront all of the decisions that he has made as president unilaterally without any involvement from Congress. And you hit some of the big ones there with immigration, health care, and those types of things.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. Congressman, as always, great to talk to you, sir. We'll speak to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Have a great day.
Thank
Goodbye.
you. You too. That's Congressman Pete Hoekstra, former chair of the House Intelligence Committee, former congressman from the great state of Michigan, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. When we return, and if you want to weigh in, the invitation's always there. It's always there. It is a never-ending invitation. 877-NEWSMAX, 877-639-7629, 877-639-7629. But when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the World Series, and we'll also let you hear some sound bites that I'm sure you'll be interested in hearing, because we have the best right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. So, again, 877-NEWSMAX. And I know yesterday some people did email and call and say, what happened to Rand Paul? He was supposed to be on today. I did say that yesterday. He will be on with us next week. Something came up, but we will speak to the senator next week. So good memory for you folks out there on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.